It's great to be here tonight. Matter of fact, I've had a coat and towel. I've been retired now for 7 months. I had a coat and towel on twice. And I talked to Larry quite a bit about tonight, and we're going to have a very concise 10 minutes on transportation, where we stand, where we don't stand, the ramifications of where we are, and other issues related to the past bond issue and any future bond issue in a very concise box. And I'll save time for a few questions afterwards. First, our population in this county, HGAC always gets it wrong. We're about 575,000 people today. Our growth rate the last 20 years has been about 6% per year. It's been as low as 5.2, it's been as high as 6.5, but let's just say 6% is a good number, I think, to use tonight. Let me tell you what that equates to per day. It's 96 people per day moving to Montgomery County. That's a lot of people. And that's been going on for years. They say we're going to be at 1 million people in 25 years. If you do the math, you'll see it's a lot sooner than 25 years. Much, much sooner. What roads are we using today in Montgomery County? We're using the roads that were built in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I did a bond issue in 1997 for $60 million. I did a few roads. The big one we did was 2005, called the Pass-Through Toll Project. That was a very successful road bond issue, but so much of that money went to 1488. You see that road today, those 5 lanes of concrete, because of the Pass-Through Toll Project. And there were some other projects done. But the problem is, we are in a county. By the way, in 1990, when I first ran for office, the population was 183,000 people. We have a road infrastructure today for about 185,000 people. A little better than that, but for all practical purposes, that's what it's for. That's one of the reasons I'm so disappointed that we don't have anything in the hopper to go get matching funds in 2016 for roads. That's why I went to Commissioner's Court this past Tuesday to ask them to please put a bond issue on the ballot November of 15, so we will have something to deal with in 2016. If we wait till November of 2017, November of 16, we will have 2017 drawing plans, 2018 doing the environmental, buying the right of way. You will start construction in 2019. You'll have roads in 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Roads, we should be working on right now. We're looking at 18 to 20 years from the last roads that were built in this county. We have got to have a bond issue. We need this group to go to the court, ask them to do a bond issue November of 15. I know the Woodlands Parkway expansion was the big issue on this latest bond issue, probably the reason it failed. Every opposition group to that bond issue I have talked to is for a bond issue in 2015 without the Woodlands Parkway expansion on the road bond issue. That's 76 projects out of the 77 that were presented to the voters this past May. We've got to do this, ladies and gentlemen. Time is of the essence. If we wait to start construction in 2019, 20, 21, 22, look at the cost increases at 7% per year. Time 5, 35, 40% increase in cost. It's not a pretty picture, ladies and gentlemen. We need roads now in this county with the growth we're having. one more thing I'd like to talk about very briefly. One of the big opposition points in the last bond issue had to do with what was so-called maintenance projects with 30 and 40-year bonds. That's just not the case. Harris County can go 40 years. We can go legally 40 years for a bond issue. Our bond indebtedness, the total, is less than 30 years. When we sell a bond, we sell it 2 years, 3 years, 5, 9, 10, 13, 18, 20, 24. The average bond is about 14 years, which is the length, the term of these so-called maintenance projects. Now, I explained this to some of the other members of the other Tea Party. They did not know this. They are in full support of even some of the maintenance projects because of the shorter term bond we're going to do on those type projects, but no more than 14 years. I think it makes sense. I know time is short, Larry. Let's go ahead and take a few questions and I'll sit down. Yes, sir.
Judge, thanks for coming. You said to go to Commissioner's Court. The next one's on the 25th. The deadline for them that I understand for getting on the ballot for November is the day before, the 24th. How's that going to be helpful? And what else can we do besides what we've already done and presented it at the last Commissioner's Court? Just during a speaking point, and they wouldn't let us get onto the agenda.
Well, I tell you what, you've all heard about the 10% raises for the Commissioner's Court.
Yeah.
The public was outraged. They changed their mind on that. They're going to go back to the 3% with the other employees who got together. We need to, let me tell you something. You're going to be driving the same roads today in 2021 unless we have a road bond issue. The traffic congestion is going to be unbelievable. You need to call your commissioners, demand they call a special meeting on the 23rd or 24th and call this bond issue. That's the only thing we can do.
So after that, what's the next opportunity? I understand that, of course, March 1st is going to be a Republican primary date, but the next general is in May. Not necessarily, we don't have to wait until November.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, they could call a bond issue for May of 16 if they wanted to.
And one more point. I believe that the Prop 7 monies, to get in line for that, it would have to be on the November ballot for down the road. But there's also now general revenue funds of around 6 to 7 billion as opposed to the 2.5 that is authorized. And I understand that's going to be authorized in October of this year. And our commissioners and judge are bypassing that. They're passing that up, foregoing that to get in line for that. So Harris County just approved the bond for $880 million. And guess who's going to be first in line? The commissioners are getting paid less than our commissioners here in Montgomery County.
Well, I wish I had some magic bullet answers. I don't. We need to call these commissioners. We need to call this bond issue now. To take advantage of the very money you're talking about, John. Very important. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Curious question. One of the commissioners and the county judge seems very firm on the Woodlands Parkway. Would it be possible to put two bond issues on there? One that is the other projects with the exception of the Woodlands Parkway, and a second one right underneath it for just the Woodlands Parkway?
Yes. Matter of fact, I recommended that in May of this year. I said, if you go put the Woodlands Parkway on there, have it as a B, have an A and a B, so that we don't hold up 76 projects because of one. Yes, that could happen. Yes, sir.
Yes, do you think if they continue to refuse that we seriously need to replace all but NOAC in the March primaries?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to get involved with that.
Because they're not doing their job in storming. Isn't part of their duties is transportation?
Yes, it is.
And that's what Roddy ran under when he was running for office, was transportation, because I live out in Montgomery myself.
That question is too hot to answer. Yes, sir.
Quick question for you. Do any of the other commissioners plan to do an engineering study of their areas, much like Precinct 3 did?
There is a mobility study for the rest of the county for 1, 2, and 4 in progress right now, Chief. This should be ready in less than 90 days. But every project in that study is going to be the roads we've already talked about. There'll be other roads that need to be talked about and addressed in many, many later year bond issues. But every road that we've talked about in 2015 will be on that study.
Will the public be able to see those studies soon, or are we going to vote on a bond issue before we get to see the study?
You will be able to see the study as soon as it is completed. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if there are any plans for the commissioners to take those studies and the input from their constituents and do short-term, mid-term, and long-term mobility planning for this county? And I'm not talking about one single PDF map on the county website.
You need to have the commissioners up here to ask that question.
You're right.
I would think they would. But you need to ask that. There's another hand somewhere over here. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question about Lone Star Parkway. That was part of the road bond, and since it failed, but now they just repaved it, where did that come from?
I talked to Commissioner Metter about that last week, as a matter of fact. Commissioner Metter did that project out of his budget. It was about an $823,000 project that he completed with money, holdover money from years past and this year's money. So that was done with precinct split money.
Okay, well, we're out of time.
Just one more question.
I just had one. I disagree with you on the maintenance, on spending the money that was set aside for the maintenance. And I disagree with some of the other things, the roads that are out there. Hardin Store Road was a prime example. It's been less than 5 years since it was repaved, and they're wanting to do it again. Even a 14-year bond for a road that's not lasting 5 years is not good use of taxpayers' funds.
Well, I've talked to commissioners about that. Hardin Store Road is an aberration. That's not normal. If you do it right, you do it complete, you take up all the asphalt, you redo the base, you put a new road down, it lasts between 12 and 18 years. That's the norm for the commissioners I've talked to. Thanks, Larry.
You bet.
Appreciate y'all coming tonight.
Thank you.